If we understand the relationship between parents and a child, we will know exactly how to resolve the issues. Then, when your husband does something wrong, is it okay for you to teach him? If so, you should have met him as his teacher, not as his spouse. If you are in a position of teaching, you cannot be a friend or a spouse. How can you be a spouse to a person who you are going to teach? If you teach, then he would be your student. From your husband's perspective, did he meet you as a teacher? Did the wife meet the husband as a teacher? Can they be husband and wife in one body and one mind? Can a teacher and a student discuss and share? What will a teacher and a student chat about? If one is a teacher, the teacher only has an obligation to teach. There is no obligation to discuss with the student. If the teacher is not fully competent at teaching, the teacher can solve the problem together with the student by discussing it. Then the teacher will not be criticized or disrespected. However, if one who is incompetent tries to teach a student and is incapable of making the student understand, then the teacher will be snubbed by the student. Students think teachers nowadays are incompetent. Why? Because they don't explain things in terms that students can understand. They keep trying to indoctrinate without making students comprehend. That is why they call them old teachers. They make fun of teachers, calling them old geezer. Is this children's fault? No, they are seeing and describing the situation accurately. If you claim to teach as a teacher, then you are supposed to make pupils comprehend and guide them. If students can't understand the teacher, it is the teacher's fault for being incompetent to teach. When students do not have the right to change the teacher, and the teacher insists on one's authority as a teacher, this is violating students' rights. Then how should one behave in a marriage? A married couple should respect each other. When they respect each other's words and actions, they become a true married couple. A genuine marital relationship is realized when they respect each other. If they don't perform their obligations to each other, they can break their marriage vow at any time. Therefore, we should respect each other and listen to others carefully with respect. Couples meet each other as husband and wife so that when the husband listens to the wife with respect, whatever the husband lacks will be made up by the wife's words and vice versa. However, if you are unable to solve your partner's problems, then it's not the partner's fault, but it's because you didn't listen well to your partner's words. If you didn't listen well to what your spouse is saying, then it means that you did not respect her. If you treat others with respect, then you can listen to them well. If you pay attention and listen well, then the answer lies therein. It may not be a grand answer for the future, but you would be able to give an answer your spouse needs at that moment. That is why we mix words with each other. The answer can be found in our conversation. By doing what? By listening to others with respect. The answer will be found within that conversation. That is why you are forming a relationship with others to mix your words with each other. If you are unable to give an answer, It is because you weren't listening with respect and didn't pay close attention to what they were saying. You can't find the answer that way. The other party has a right to speak, and you have a right to listen. But you do not have the right to force the counterpart to listen and follow what you said. If you want to respond to what your partner said, you have to say it in a way the partner can understand. You shouldn't speak to them if you can't make them understand you. Why? Because you lack the ability to make them understand. You will be asking for trouble if you speak despite this. If you say words that others don't understand, you are asking for trouble. It causes the partner to get frustrated. If you don't say anything, they will not get angry or get frustrated. No suffocating energy will accumulate. For example, you say something, but your partner does not answer. You ask them to say something. You keep pressing him to say something. You said something first expecting to get a response. You keep on asking. Your partner answers. I have nothing to say because I don't have the answer. You say, oh, is that so? Then you will not be upset. But if you pretend to know the answer and make up some words to say anything, this will upset the partner. If you don't know, be humble and say, I'm sorry, I don't know enough to solve this. Then the partner will respond, not at all. There is nothing to be sorry about. I am the one who first asked. Then two of you will build mutual trust. When you don't have the answer to the issue, you should be humble. Then there will be no fight between the two of you or cause a conflict. However, if you pretend to know the answer and say something, you are giving an odd response, and the partner will feel awkward in the conversation. This miscommunication continues back and forth until the partner throws up their hands in frustration. There is no connection. This will upset the partner, and as this occurs a few more times, the relationship will become ugly. We have seen many intellectuals who choose to stay silent when they can't connect. They shut their mouth if they can find a common ground. When intellectuals cannot relate with their spouses, they choose to stay quiet at home. If you enter an intellectual's home, it's very quiet inside. You only hear music sound, no sound of people talking. No one is talking. There is no connection. When a wife and a husband cannot relate to each other, they choose to shut their mouths instead of arguing. They don't talk at home. When do they talk? The husband calls his friend out to a restaurant and talks over whiskey. They can relate to each other. So what is happening here? He is having an affair. This is called an affair with a friend. He is spending time that should be spent with his wife with a friend. The wife lost her husband to his friend. Husband is having an affair. An affair doesn't happen only with the opposite sex. If the wife is given 70% of the time that should be spent with the husband, and the husband spends 10% of the time with his friend, then that much energy is being spent outside the home as an affair. An important fact in this situation is that the husband was given 70% of the time that is supposed to be spent talking and living with his spouse. If he spends less than 30% out of the 70% with others and spends 40% with his wife, there will never be discord in the marriage. However, If he spends 40% with others and 30% with his wife because he's frustrated at home, a problem will begin to arise. It will cast a chill over the house. He poured his energy outside with his friend and did not give the energy he should be giving to his family. Then the house gets cold. This is the law of grand nature. If he spends 50% of his energy outside and returns home, he has only 20% left for home. Then the house will have a chill, for there is no warm energy flowing in, and something bad will happen in that family. Home should be filled with warm energy, and this energy is produced from the words of people talking. Human words are that powerful. When there is a nice conversation going on in a family, the flow of the energy is very positive and soft. When there is no communication, the energy stops flowing. No positive energy can circulate. The energy is at a standstill and the house gets cold. If one pours out all his energy outside and comes home, there is a chill over the house. This is how family accidents happen. So what happens when the husband continues to spend more time outside? Then there is no need to live together. This is the beginning of a marital problem. So, the law of treating others and the law of marriage is that a husband and a wife should respect each other. You must respect each other. We are human beings. Both men and women are human beings that need respect. When there is respect, the warm energy circulates. It warms. Warm energy flows. That is how people don't get sick, are full of energy, and living life becomes fun. When there is no conversation, the two of you will become distant. This is 100% accurate. When there is no communication, you become further apart. When there is a conflict during a conversation, there will be a quarrel. This is 100% true. Even if gold was given to you, the problem will not resolve. When there is discord in the communication, there will be hostility. With such confrontation, you don't want to see the partner's face. No matter how beautiful or handsome your partner is, it is useless if there is a lack of good conversation. When words get twisted, there will be a fight. Whether the counterpart is your friend, your spouse, your parent, or your child, when you have a clash during a conversation, you become an enemy to each other. Money has nothing to do with relationships. In regards to money, if two of you have a good conversation, one would not feel bad at all giving away all the money he has to the other party. As long as there is good communication, he would not resent even if he has to give up his own body and his life as long as he can have that kind of a conversation in depth. You can even give up your life for it. How essential and daunting are conversations. All important matters of human affairs are determined by conversations. The law of having a proper conversation is to respect the individual. You must respect other people. As long as you respect others, the conversation will flow smoothly. If you behave disrespectfully or despise others from your arrogance, because you think you are wealthier, smarter, better looking than others, then you will fail in every conversation with others.
뭐든지 상대를 조금 무시한다든지 조금 깔아본다든지 이러면 이제부터 맥히는 것이 대화입니다.
If you respect even a beggar, then you will be able to hear him and have a deep understanding of what he says.